Hey, all. Today's guest is Philippe Denham, and he's been on my podcast before. He was one of the first guests when I first started back in 2024. So, around, I don't know, May or June, I believe. And I've been speaking with him recently, and he told me about a really interesting project that involves comedians. So, I'm interested to see what this is all about. And it sounded funny, at least from the 5 minutes that he told me about it. So, please welcome back Philippe Denham. Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra. I just want to say welcome back. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and you made the time for me like you always do.
My pleasure. It's
Yeah,
always a pleasure to speak to you.
I know. I know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, thank you for saying that. Guess what movie I'm going to go see tonight?
You're going to see a Complete Unknown.
How'd you know? Because it was the only music one that you could think of right away, right?
Well, it just seems like every adult I know is going to see that movie.
I know anyone under 20 is like, Bob Dylan? What? What do you mean?
Yeah. But I hear nothing but good things about it. I have not seen it.
Yeah, I know. I'm seriously making the time, believe me. It's like it's been so crazy, with the fires and everything down here,
Oh
right?
my God. Oh my God. Have I ever seen something like that before? No, never.
Yeah, and you weren't born in LA, but I was, and I've lived here my whole life, and I think that's the this is the worst tragedy, or what do you
Yeah,
natural disaster, I guess you'd say,
yeah. Well, up
right?
until 5 years ago, I was there since 1987.
Mm.
I did see a few things.
You saw the riots,
Yes, I did. Very
not the
much so.
Watts riots for you, older folks, but this was the riots in, gosh, what were they called?
The Rodney King riots.
The Rodney King riots. You saw the O.J. Simpson thing, which was really
Oh my
fun.
God, I certainly do. Certainly do. I remember every instant of that.
That was like something out of a movie, right?
It was a movie. Jeez,
Yeah,
yes.
it was literally and figuratively.
And I
Um,
just had signed one of my very first contracts for a job, and I was celebrating with my partner, who's still at times my partner after all
uh-huh.
these years. And we went for a celebratory drink, and we looked at the TV and we saw White Bronco and OJ Simpson making a getaway. Well, what?
The
And
infamous White Bronco. I've been watching a lot of Netflix documentaries, and there was, the Menendez brothers. I really
yeah,
got into that one for a while because it's another case of, cele celebrities, right? But they weren't celebrities, but like a high-profile family, right? That
yeah,
seemed to have everything, and then just
yeah,
like, what
yeah.
happened?
Oh my God. I mean, again, that's another case that I remember step by step having to go through and live through.
Yeah, I know. So
There
anyway.
was that, I forgot the lawyer's name, but there was that dubious lawyer where they were like, is she, does
Oh,
she have to be
Leslie
here?
Abramson, is that her name? Leslie.
Was that her name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I've been, like I said, I watched it on Netflix, and it was like, she seemed to really be into that. Like she was really doing it. She really was really trying to help them, but just it was.
Yeah, but there was a lot of rumor that she might have been sleeping with the older brother.
Oh,
And again, rumor
right.
enough where you kind of start questioning it yourself.
Yeah, right. They didn't really talk about that in the
Yeah.
Netflix special, Ryan Murphy special, but they talk about everything else. The
Yeah.
brothers are sleeping with everybody else, or sleeping with each other. He filmed it from like different angles or different
Mhm.
perspectives, or what could have
Mhm.
been, maybe, and it was quite the story. And their mom, played by, gosh, I can't think of her name, Chloe. Chloe
Sevigny?
was it?
Sevigny?
Yeah,
Sevigny.
I believe she plays the mom,
Oh, wow.
and she's really good. And she's just like this housewife is like, just
Wow. You know,
yeah.
Chloe Sevigny was like the 18-year-old kind of alternative weirdo actress at one
I
point.
know, I know, and
Now
now
she's
she's
playing the
playing.
Menendez mother.
I know, drunk all the time. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this project that you're doing because it just sounded so good. It's something to do with comedians, right?
That's one of the two projects that I'm
Oh, okay.
I'm
You got
doing.
more than one.
Yeah.
So what?
So So yeah, that first one is called Laugh Stream, and it came out of a very organic place. There was a guy who managed, a few comedy clubs in LA
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and got to know the whole comedy world. Then COVID hit and shut down all the comedy clubs.
Okay.
And he no longer had an income. So he tried to figure out how he could continue work. So he took his 32-foot Airstream,
Okay.
cut a big hole in it, and put hydraulics in it so it lifts up and creates a stage, an outdoor stage. So during COVID, he was going around with comedians and performing in parking lots of like golf,
First.
clubs and county fairs, and it was a safe environment for the comedians to continue performing.
What a great idea.
So yeah. So we're developing it into a show where we take two comedians every week. We drive through wherever, but mostly Southern California. We bring them to towns that don't have comedy clubs. We
Mm-hmm.
pick up a local comedian, and then we basically stay with them for the week where they're going to do the things that are synonymous to that area. So when they were in Ventura, they went surfing, and
Right.
so of course all the comedy that happens out of that. But in the meantime, we're setting up the actual event, the actual performance night, and everything leads. And so you see them working on jokes, you see them crafting their materials and their bits. It kind of like pulls the curtain open as to how comedians work their
Mm-hmm.
art,
Mm-hmm.
and it all leads to the night of the performance on the laugh stream, on the stage of the Airstream. So I went out to LA or Ventura last month, filmed 2 pilot episodes, and that's what we're editing right now.
So they're in an Airstream. I mean, it's an Airstream mainly that he films, that he works out of.
Yes. Well, the Airstream opens into a stage.
Mm.
So before the show, they hang in the Airstream. After the show, they sign the Airstream wall. People come in and out to congratulate them. But the performance is sort of exterior of the Airstream, but still part of the Airstream. And yeah,
So the comedians, are they well-known comedians? Are they up and coming?
they're mid-level comedians.
Okay.
So while we were filming our headliner, he got a call, and
Hmm.
this we were filming him, I think, on a Thursday or Friday, and he got a call from Colbert booking him on the show for Monday.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. So these are kind of like these kind of mid-level that are just now
Hopefully
getting
getting the big
a
break.
big spot. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, when you told me about that, I was, because I'm so fascinated with comedy and comedy shows these days. I guess because I
yeah,
just want to laugh. So
yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, this is super interesting because it's part follow doc, where you
Mhm.
see them just kind of being themselves, and they're always kind of like on and kind of
Mhm,
funny,
mhm, mhm,
clever. And then you see them, doing their performance, their bit
mhm.
to just kind of a wild audience,
Right,
uh,
right.
that usually don't pay. And of course, they buy the alcohol or whatever else from the place that we're doing it in.
Hmm.
In this case, we did it exterior of a brewery, Ventura Brewery, in Ventura. And so that's the trade-off. We bring a whole bunch of people into the brewery, they buy their alcohol, everybody sits outside and enjoys the performance.
I see. And
It's
how
a
long
win-win for everybody.
how long does the show usually last?
Oh man, it lasted a good 2 hours. It really
Really?
did. Yeah, yeah, they do the whole thing. So our business model is to start a YouTube channel, have some short episodes on it, charge $5 a month to subscribe, and that unlocks all the other material
Hmm. Hmm.
and the full performance.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Wow, that's so now. Are you done with the actual trailer or pilot, or are you going to be adding on more to it?
We're going to be adding on, and we're right now in the process of having the first pilot episodes edited.
Mm.
So we're looking at 12 to 15-minute episodes, fast, boom, boom, boom. Get into a flow, meet a whole bunch of new comedians, three at a time, and then hopefully, we start getting subscriptions and we unlock all the other materials.
And did you say the name of this project, or is there a name?
Laugh stream as
Oh,
opposed to
last.
airstream, laugh
Got it.
stream.
I
Hmm.
like it. I like it. Yeah, I
Hmm.
feel like comedy is, I mean, it's always been this way, but I feel like now it's even more like mainstream in a way. Like stand-up comedians, it's really become the thing where everybody's a stand-up comedian, which is good, I mean, because I feel
Yeah.
like it's, and people are telling for the good and for on the good side and the bad side, like they're through laughter, they're saying a lot of political stuff, uh,
Yes,
right wing or left wing or whatever, but a lot
for
of
sure.
they're using those platforms.
Yeah, for sure. And in this case, I think it goes through cycles and waves. There's a show that comes out on TV and it's a big hit, and so all of a sudden the market gets saturated with shows about stand-up comedians. This is kind of a different way to
Sure.
present
Yeah.
stand-up comedy.
Because, like you said, it's a follow doc,
It's a
right?
follow doc and then a performance, so you get both aspects of it.
I like that. So,
And
do you have a?
and you feel the environment. It's not a brick wall or a curtain. You feel
That's
the
true.
environment
That's true.
of where that airstream is parked. And it completely changes the crowd. It completely changes the atmosphere, and it really adds. It's its own character
The
in
Airstream is.
yeah.
So, I know you said he started it during COVID, but then now it's just going to become, he's
Yeah.
just going to keep doing it, right?
Yeah, and so instead of comedy clubs being closed, so you have to do it outside. Here, it's bringing the Airstream to places that don't have comedy clubs.
That's a good idea.
In fact, like from Ventura to, I forgot what it was, maybe San Luis Obispo or something. There's 170 miles that does not have a comedy club. So this is where we hit and get people that don't want to spend $200 and want to go see live comedians, live
True.
stand up.
Yeah,
So
because I
we
just
bring it to
went.
them as opposed to them coming to us.
You made a good point though, because going to comedy clubs now is expensive. Like I just went to the Catalina Bar and Grill, Jazz Bar
Yeah.
and Grill. They're doing comedy night there sometimes, and it was really good. But you have to buy a minimum amount of a dinner and
Yeah,
drinks. It can
sure.
get pricey.
No kidding. Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is
So
comedy for
and
everyone.
it's really interesting because the comedians like this vibe of like being on the road with other comedians and doing fun things during the day and
Hmm.
then working on their bits and then talking about comedy. It's like these shows are very interesting when you have like actors talking about their craft and
Hmm.
whatever it is. And so here, when you have, you know, two or three comedians that don't know each other or don't know each other well, and they're each giving their opinions and their sense of comedy and what it's like going in different places in the country and how each audience reacts differently and how they have to constantly hone and change their bits and to
True.
be sensitive to the environment. It's really fascinating to hear them talk about it.
Yeah, that's true. Like tailor it a little bit, like to the audience.
Yeah,
Or
oh, completely.
I have a question for you because I have a lot of comedian friends. So how does one get on the show as a comedian? Who does the casting for that?
Well, the guy who Ben Jarovic, who managed clubs in LA, is now doing the casting, but we want to open that up,
Mm-hmm.
and there will be
A call
the
at some point.
ability to present yourself on our website. Um, but also, word is going to get out fast. Word is already getting out fast because I think the comedians have a really good experience on it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and filming it. And so when they get back into their comedy worlds, word is getting out.
So, do you guys already have a buyer for this? I mean, is there a destination or is it just still?
No, the destination is YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And because the first couple went so well, we have more and more sponsors coming to us and saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, we'll give you some money to come to our venue. You know, we have a golf course, we have a, or a county fair that's saying like, we would love a stand-up comedy component.
Hmm.
So
I
here's
like that.
some money. And then maybe it's sponsored by a cannabis company, or it's also sponsored by, a brewery or like last one. And so you put that together, we have a lean budget
Right.
I produce through my company,
Hmm.
and then we present it and edit it into episodes, and then YouTube, and then subscription. So that's the bit of business model. I've been doing network television for 30 years, 35
Right.
years. It's a very much in flux now. No one knows where it's going and what they want to buy, and everybody's scared. I believe that episodic television, other than the really big, mega big, Apple TV, Netflix series, I think it's going short form,
Mm.
12 episodes. I mean, 12-minute episodes. So,
Oh,
honey,
interesting.
when do we have to leave for the dinner party? We have
Right.
about oh, okay. I can watch at least 3 more episodes.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
That's interesting, right? So you're going to start off on YouTube, but you wouldn't be, maybe it'll go on to something
Could
else,
be.
you know?
It absolutely could, but I would love to work outside the system. I love personally working outside the system. I've made most of my money being inside the system, but I always feel like I'm an outsider working on the inside of the system.
Now you want to be an outsider, working, getting in
I
the.
want to be absolutely, absolutely, which means I don't want to be beholden to the advertising dollar.
True, true. When you're doing like things on YouTube, you have a lot more leeway in some ways, you know?
There's a on these little reels, TikTok or YouTube reels or Facebook reels, right?
Hmm.
There's sort of a famous quote of Elon Musk, and it's not like I'm a big fan, although I do admire some of the things he does. But
Sure,
what
sure.
I'm talking now is
I
another
know, but you
story.
can't say his name now because in certain circles, people are like,
Yeah,
you know?
right, right. But he famously
Right,
has this little clip going, "Oh, that," and you're like, "What's he talking about?" And he's like, and he repeats, that.
right.
And then I saw the context, and the context was he doesn't advertise. Now think about that.
Mm.
Tesla is the
That's
most
true. Good point.
valued car company in the world.
Hmm.
He doesn't advertise because he said, why would I want to be beholden to someone else's view of what I should be doing? Uh, you know,
Good
and I
point.
have
Good
a
point.
I have a little bit of that in me.
Back.
It's
Oh, yeah.
I think we know what's funny, we know what's good television, we know how to tell stories. So if we can do it without the advertising dollar dictating to us what we need to do,
Hmm.
that's valuable.
Right. No, that's a good point. I never thought about it that with Tesla.
Well,
Yeah.
it happened in the music business way before the video and television business, right? Because when people could start self-producing and self-distributing
Hmm.
their their music,
Hmm.
then they were no longer beholden to the record companies.
True. True. I never thought about that. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So
good point.
there's some artists that are not signed, big artists who just record on their own and put it out on their own.
Hmm.
And of course, there's less hits, there's less big
Marketing.
contracts,
Yeah.
but the money sort of goes directly to them.
Right. Right. Yeah. I
So
had
they
a
don't, yeah,
I
sorry,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say I had a guest on that. He's a hip hop guy, and he was talking about his idea for a new business model. Because everyone pretty much does their own. They make all the music. They do everything themselves. So
Yeah,
if you just went to a record com- a new if there was a new business model for a record company, they're just going to distribute it for you, and do all the admin or social media,
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
don't have to put any money in to get it recorded and like in the old
Mhm.
days.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, it's true. That's a good point.
So far right now, my company is financing live stream
Hmm.
um, with a partner. And that can only go so far. But if we can get sponsorships in and we can get viewerships and we can get subscriptions, then we really can be really solvent.
Right.
And to be solvent without a network behind you, it's the little train that could. And I love that. I
Solvent is a
love
good word.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. No, I have a lot of friends that would be interested in this particular show, so I'm going to be spreading the word. I
Good.
hopefully. So now what's your other project? You said you had two things, or at least two things.
Yeah, I did 10, 12 years ago, I did a very successful show on Animal Planet called Whale Wars. And it
Oh,
was about Paul Watson. Paul Watson is one of the founding members of Greenpeace. And then he
yeah.
started an organization in the late 80s or early 80s called Sea Shepherd. And then he was voted out of his own organization because he was too militant.
Hmm.
So at
Hmm.
71, he started his new organization, kind of like back to the bare bones of what his concept was to
Hmm.
protect marine life. So a year ago, I got on his boat and filmed him, and now we have a very big company that is very interested in basically doing a reboot of the show. Bigger, better, different organization. It's Paul Watson and his new organization, and yeah, so that's what I hope goes. And that is the opposite. That is working within the system. That's a
Yeah.
big budgeted show. Um, and it does so much good, a show like that, that that's absolutely a subject matter that I'll take being on the inside.
You'll be the, what is it, the corporate shill. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I can't be too highbrow. There's
Right.
certain projects where it's nice to be able to be, outside the box, and there's some projects where you need the girth of being inside the box.
Right.
And this is doing so much good to the world, I believe, that I have no problem. Yeah.
Is that the project you were telling me about when you were on the podcast last time? It was with whales and it was something to
Yes,
do with Japan that they're,
yes,
yeah,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's
yeah.
just that we had a company that was like, listen, we love this show.
Mm-hmm.
We want to empower you to
Mm-hmm.
change the world. Now, that's a
Mm-hmm.
quote. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you get that from the lead executive in a pitch meeting, you're like, that's a good pitch.
Wow.
But he went to refuel his boat in Greenland. Greenland is owned by Denmark.
Mm,
Denmark also pseudo owns the Faroe Islands. We
mm,
crossed illegally the 12-mile zone from land to 12 miles out to sea.
mm-hmm.
And so they took that as the opportunity to SWAT team onto the boat and arrest Paul Watson. So he was in jail for 5 months, and they kept on suspending his sentence, suspending trial, another 3 weeks, another 4 weeks, another. So he wound up doing 5 months in jail. And the big company that I can't mention because we don't have a deal
Sure.
yet. They were like, look, man, it's bad optics. We can't finance a show with your guy in jail. Just doesn't look right.
Right.
Now he got out of jail a couple of days before Christmas. We all kind of geared up first of the year, and now it's happening.
That's awesome. So
Well,
you,
it's happening. We're gonna try to make it happen,
yeah,
but
now you can
everybody's
move forward a
sitting.
little bit. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. It sounds like you got a couple good winners on there. The show.
Yeah, I have a very big show and a little tiny show, and
Mhm.
and that feels right for me.
Yeah, because you're good at that, juggling the big show and the little show.
Yeah, and if it's my company doing it, I don't have the infrastructure of three big shows, and nor do I want it. I've worked for those companies all my career. I
Hmm.
want to be able to manage it lean and mean and
Mm.
locally. And I'm here upstate New York in Woodstock. I don't want to have to open up big offices in LA. No, thank you. No.
You're
I
locally
want those stuff.
sourced.
Yes, yes, yes. And there's enough talent in the area, and there's also enough talent via Zoom and everything else
Right.
that I love to be able to just have a big show and a small show right from my office in Woodstock.
How's your mom doing?
She just keeps on going.
Good. I was
93, blind, tough, stubborn. All of the things that I dislike is also what makes her, keep
the
on
things
going.
that bugged you growing up are keeping her alive, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Um,
thank you for asking.
oh, you're welcome. So have you ever heard anything from any friends down in LA about the fires?
Well, I know for a fact because I spoke to three friends that have been completely decimated. A friend of mine that I hired right out of USC. In fact, I think he was at USC when I first hired him in his
Mm,
last year, has been doing Big Brother for years and, was able to buy a condo in Pacific Palisades and send his two kids to school and, the whole thing. And there's just nothing. Four backpacks is what they own.
mm. I know. I
His
work with
wife posted a picture. That's it. Four little backpacks. Like that's it.
I know I work with this musician who he I was talking to him earlier that day. I was like, "Are you okay?" So far, it's okay, right? And then by the end of the day, he was like, we lost the house." I was like, "Oh my God, it's so
Yeah.
sad. I feel so
Yeah.
sad."
So I'm up to three people that have lost everything,
Right.
everything. Um, and so, I mean, as tragic as it is, it's so fascinating sociologically to witness this because they will rebound
Yeah.
and you learn how little you need. I mean, when I moved here, I really didn't have anything. When I moved from New York to Los Angeles, I really didn't have anything. And you can build a life. And what does that mean, building life? So I know it's tragic losing all your heirlooms. I know it's tragic losing, the house that I get all of that. But the human spirit
Right. The strong.
is really, immeasurable. And that's what I'm witnessing now.
And in a way, it's kind of, I don't want to say cleansing, but in a way, it's kind of like a rebirth. When you lose everything, you're like, I'm starting over.
Mhm.
And then the other good thing is you see all the people that have rallied,
Yeah.
like you see all the people, I've tried to help in some ways, and I might be organizing this music thing with someone that knows a lot of big performers, so
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll
I'm
see.
sure.
They're already doing a lot of that already, but I might be
Yeah.
doing them too. So
Yeah. Good for you.
I know. Well, I thought about it, but he actually started making it happen. And then I was like, oh, I was thinking I wanted to do that. So I'm like, I'm going to try to help, but fingers crossed that we get it done.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Anyway, so what's your day like today? Are you working any longer after this or?
Well, it's what time is it? It's 10 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
The art gallery opening in town finishes at 6, so I'm not going to make that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh, oh, don't be silly.
I'm
It
so,
is fun once every couple of months, it's like, whoa, it's like a little mini Soho here in Woodstock. Not
we've got
quite, not
culture.
quite. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, yeah.
The artwork is okay. Sometimes it's pretty good, but the standard is it's a
It's
little bit
different. It's not meant.
local.
It's not Soho in New York, like you said, right?
No, no, there's some really great artists, but then overall it's a little local yokel, and which is fine and charming.
Crafty,
And,
crafty.
yeah, and then people come from everywhere. The city people that come up for the weekend, and then the local artists that come out to support, and so that's always kind of fun. And then otherwise, I just keep on molding that piece of clay. I keep on molding that sizzle reel and changing it until, it's as airtight as it can be. And, I present it on Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday is when you're going to
Yeah.
present. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, you might have said that. Oh,
Yeah.
do you get nervous on these things, on these pitch things?
No, no, I don't, which is kind of interesting because I'm just so passionate about it. So as soon as I open my mouth, I just okay, and then it's this, and then it's that, and there's this, and I was on the boat 7 times, and then that, and they're like, okay. So
You're
I
like,
don't,
okay, Philippe, we get it. We get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm deep into every project, and I'm only into the deep into every project because I really care about them. So it's
Mhm.
easy to talk about them.
That's good. That's true because you're not being fake. It's you're
Yeah,
being authentic about it because you really do care about.
I
Well,
do care.
I don't know if I can't. I was going to say you seem to only get involved with projects you really care about, but that's not probably necessarily true. I mean, we all have to do things for the money sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's been really rare that I've gotten into a project that I was like, wow, I really don't like this one. I mean, I did a project for History Channel, which really surprised me, where it was 6 episodes, and I had to prove that what's the book? Devil in the Details. The Devil. It was about the World's Fair of like
Oh,
1888 or something like that in Chicago, and there was a serial murderer called H. Holmes,
ooh, that sounds fun.
and they wanted to prove that H. Holmes was also Jack the Ripper. And
Oh, okay.
now that was a tough stretch to try to
Yeah.
bridge these two murderers,
Right, right, right. And did
and
they have
yet.
detail? Were there reasons why they felt this, or they were just trying to come up with?
Well, yeah, the great grandson of H. Holmes to sell his book put it out there. And History Channel bit. And so there was enough evidence maybe that you could suspend the audience's disbelief,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but that's not exactly what you want to go on. So, I mean, so that was tough when you're trying to prove something and you're being paid and the pressure is on to try
Right,
to prove something that ultimately you feel is not provable.
right.
That's a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So did you
I
finish
hired
it?
a young person who said, I don't understand. You're making uh, fiction out of nonfiction.
I don't
Oh,
know.
no, no, you're making nonfiction out of fiction. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no, no, that's right. You're making fiction out of nonfiction.
Yeah.
It's nonfiction, like this really happened, but you're making fiction as to how you're wrapping this together. That's tough.
Well, I guess you just say you would sell it as like, it's one possible theory type thing.
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly what you do, and you have to do it. But sometimes I'm a little bit moralistic, maybe more than I should be to be super successful in this business. And
I
so
hear
I,
you.
it's tough. It's tough to kind of feel at the bottom of your heart, this is BS, but yet you got to march on and
Yeah.
try to prove it. Yeah.
Well, hopefully. And did you finish that project, right?
I did not do I didn't take it to the end. I
Okay.
didn't. I got onto another project, and so I prepared it, and then I saw the first episode, and it was not at all my vision. So I was sort of happy that, yeah.
Well, I want to know when this comedy thing's laugh stream gets a little bit more like I can't wait to see it because I just think it sounds really good, you know?
Mhm.
So you have to keep me posted so I can put it on there.
I
Look at Philippe's
will.
new project, blah, blah,
I
blah.
will. I will. I will. No, it's a fun project, and I hope it proves a bunch of things. I hope it proves that it's really interesting for people to see how comedians are off stage,
Mhm.
how they hone their skills and work their bits, even though it looks all kind of like free form when they're on stage.
True.
How we can make a successful show, avoiding all the big networks and conglomerate media companies, and really be supported by the individual, the people that enjoy it.
Yeah, like I said, I've been listening to a lot of comedy podcasts with famous and successful comedians, and I've been learning all these things that the terms they use, like what is it, crowd something, where they work the crowd, and then they see when things work and don't work, and how they
Mhm.
refine it, and how they get themselves out of a hole if they go there. So
Mhm.
it's really, and I went to see Nikki Glazer
Yeah.
do her pre Golden Globe shows around here in LA. It was
Mhm.
just testing out material, which I thought was smart because
Yeah.
you could see what bits work and what don't.
Right.
And there's a certain timing too to any any successful comedian, like the way they deliver the line, and it's
Yes.
so manipulative. And they're
Yeah.
being very manipulative, but you don't.
Really.
But you got to do it casually, so it doesn't seem like you're doing it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, Nikki Glazer is a great example because she was kind of mid-level until The roast.
Yeah, the Tom
And her
Brady
whole
roast.
life changed right there. And she's very aware of it, which I love. And, she understands the opportunity that's being, presented, and
Hmm.
she's taking it.
Right.
And it's beautiful. And it's sort of last stream, that's what we want it to be. We want it to be a launching pad.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool when we were there filming it. One guy got his break, and supposedly, and I did not see his routine on Colbert, but supposedly he knocked it out of the park. So I'm, very happy for that.
That's awesome. Can you say
Yeah.
his name? Can you say the comedian's name or no?
I always knew I know him as Saul. So
So,
I can't remember it was Saul Martinez or Saul
right.
Gomez. I know it's
It's
very
a Spanish.
cliche that I don't remember the last name.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's
No, that's okay.
Saul
That's okay.
with a
Saul.
Spanish name, with a
That's
Spanish last
great.
name.
Oh, and he's originally from Mexico's family, but he was born and raised in Stockton, Massachusetts,
Ah,
and he this horrible mullet, which he jokes about. And he was like 380. Now he's like 240, and so he's trying to get himself back in shape. And, of course, we put him in a wetsuit and made him go surfing. And so there's, whatever happens to that. And he was miserable. He was like, I regret doing this show. I feel like an idiot. And by the end of surfing, he was like, that was so much fun. And the
oh my
people
God,
that
that's
were
neat.
helping him were so wonderful with him.
That's so
And
good.
then,
Interesting.
24 hours later, he was on stage doing his act, and he was just feeling no pain. And right before that, he got the call saying, "We want you. Go there."
Awesome. It sounds like he's going to have a pretty good year. He's getting off to a good
Yes.
start, you know?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, that's great. Well, Philippe, I'm going to let you go because
Yes.
I'm going to go see that Dylan movie like I told
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Complete
Let's do
unknown.
what's really important. Go to the
Yes.
movies. I'm going to go cook.
But I wanted to hear about your projects, and you're going to be coming on periodically and letting me know about them, you know?
Right. Anytime.
Yeah,
It's
this will be,
always a
I'll
pleasure
make a little
talking to
trip. I know. We get to hang out via,
you. We get to hang out.
we
It's
hang,
okay.
man, we hang.
I don't mind that there's a little pinhole camera on me. I don't mind. As long as I'm talking to you, I don't mind.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, well, I'll keep you posted, and thanks again for coming on, okay?
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.